What if I told you that discipline has nothing to do with motivation, that everything you've been taught about staying consistent and being productive is wrong? We grow up believing discipline is a matter of willpower. If you're strong enough, focused enough, determined enough, you'll succeed. But here's the truth. Willpower always fails. Motivation fades. Inspiration dies. And then what's left? Guilt, frustration, and a sense of failure. Niccolò Machiavelli, the infamous political philosopher often remembered for his ruthless pragmatism, had a different take. He believed discipline wasn't about constant self-control or waiting for motivation to show up. It was about systems and leverage. It was about designing your environment and your habits so discipline becomes effortless, automatic, and powerful. In the next 25 minutes, we're going to explore Machiavelli's timeless secret to mastering discipline, a method so counterintuitive yet so powerful that once you understand it, you'll never look at self-control the same way again. Because discipline is not about being harder on yourself, it's about being smarter with yourself. Stay until the end, because we're not just talking theory. We're going to give you a framework you can start using today, one that turns discipline from a constant battle into something natural and unstoppable. And the best part, it doesn't take years to master. It doesn't require you to change who you are. It only takes 25 minutes. Most people think discipline is about waking up at 5 a.m., running on sheer willpower, and forcing themselves through pain until success magically happens. But if that worked, we wouldn't have a global productivity crisis. Everyone wants to be disciplined, yet most people quit their new habits within weeks. Why? Because they approach discipline as a fight against themselves. They think they need to overcome laziness, crush procrastination, and eliminate all weakness. But when you frame discipline as a constant war, you're always on the losing side because you are both the soldier and the enemy. The moment you feel tired or unmotivated, the war collapses. And here's the key. Machiavelli never fought wars he didn't think he could win. Machiavelli lived during one of the most unstable political periods in history. He saw empires rise and fall, leaders assassinated, and entire cities burned because of poor judgment. From this chaos, he learned something profound. Power is never about brute force alone. It's about strategy, leverage, and structure. And he applied this same philosophy to personal discipline. For Machiavelli, discipline wasn't about forcing people or even yourself to behave a certain way. It was about creating systems and incentives so powerful that the desired behavior becomes the easiest path to take. He understood something that modern psychology confirms. Human beings are driven more by their environment than by their willpower. If you design your environment the right way, your behavior naturally follows. Think about it. It's easier to eat healthy when your kitchen is full of nutritious food and junk food isn't within reach. It's easier to wake up early when your alarm clock is across the room and your phone is on airplane mode. It's easier to focus when distractions are removed rather than relying on mental toughness to resist them. This is the heart of Machiavelli's secret. Don't rely on willpower. Build systems that make discipline inevitable. Instead of trying to be better, design your life so even your worst days still push you forward. Machiavelli believed people naturally act out of self-interest and habit, not moral perfection. That might sound cynical, but it's actually freeing because it means you don't have to become superhuman to master discipline. You just need to be honest about your weaknesses and design around them. Machiavelli was often called ruthless, even manipulative, but beneath the political reputation, he understood one thing better than most. Human behavior is predictable. People act based on two primary forces, reward and fear. When used correctly, these forces don't just control armies or nations. They can control the one thing that matters most to you, your habits. Leverage, not force. When we try to build discipline, most of us rely on internal speeches. I should do this. I must do better. I'll push through no matter what. But Machiavelli would laugh at that approach. Why? Because he knew human nature always takes the path of least resistance. If you have to convince yourself every single day, you've already lost. Instead, Machiavelli would say, make the right action the easy action. He believed discipline isn't about suppressing your nature, it's about designing for it. This means use rewards to lock in habits. Reward yourself immediately after doing the task, even something small like checking off a habit tracker or giving yourself 5 minutes of something you enjoy. Your brain starts craving the action instead of dreading it. Use fear strategically, not to punish yourself, but to create accountability. Tell someone about your goal, put money on the line, or set up a consequence if you skip. The fear of loss is often stronger than the desire to gain. Discipline as a political structure. Think of yourself as both the ruler and the citizen of your life. Machiavelli would advise, do not depend on the good nature of the people. Build laws and structures that make rebellion difficult. Translated into your daily habits. Don't depend on motivation or moods. Build rules and routines so strong that even when you're tired, success still happens. For example, want to work out? Put your clothes next to your bed the night before and schedule it as non-negotiable. Want to focus? Block distracting websites, silence your phone, and have a defined start ritual. Want to save money? Automate transfers before you even see your paycheck. The point is clear. Design removes decision-making friction, and when discipline no longer depends on emotional energy, it becomes automatic. The psychological advantage. Modern science confirms Machiavelli's approach. Willpower is like a muscle. It fatigues quickly, but habits run on autopilot. By structuring your environment, your brain stops wasting energy debating whether to act. It just acts. Machiavelli knew power wasn't about brute strength. It was about structure. And if you adopt that mindset, you turn discipline from something you try to do into something you simply are. If this resonates with you, stop waiting for motivation. Take 25 minutes right now and design one simple system. Remove one friction point, set one reward, or add one accountability check. Subscribe now, hit the bell, and share this video with someone who's been stuck waiting for the right time to change. Because discipline isn't about tomorrow, it starts now. Now that we understand Machiavelli's philosophy, leverage over force, systems over willpower, let's translate it into something practical. A framework you can implement today to start mastering discipline without relying on motivation. Step 1. Clarify the why behind the action. Machiavelli understood that people don't act without a reason. Even the most disciplined soldier needs a cause. Ask yourself, why does this habit matter to me? Not in vague terms like, I want to be healthier, but specific ones like, I want to work out because I want to play with my kids without pain, or I want to wake up early because I'm building a business that will free my time in the future. Specific, emotionally charged reasons create resilience. Step 2. Remove friction. Add triggers. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. Want to read more? Put your book on your pillow in the morning so it's the first thing you see at night. Want to stop scrolling? Delete social media apps from your phone and make them accessible only on a computer. Want to meditate? Put your mat where you can't miss it. By removing friction for good habits and adding friction for bad ones, you hack your natural tendency to take the path of least resistance. Step 3. Use rewards and accountability. Machiavelli famously said, "Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. Rewards equals love. Accountability equals fear. Combine them, reward yourself for showing up, and create a little fear of letting yourself down by telling someone else about your commitment. Use habit tracking apps and celebrate small wins daily. Find a partner or coach to check in with weekly. Create loss consequences, like donating to a cause you dislike if you skip your goal. Step 4. Make the minimum action ridiculously easy. One of the biggest reasons people fail at discipline is they set the bar too high at first. Machiavelli would never deploy an unprepared army. He'd build strength first. So instead of saying, "I'll work out for an hour every day," start with, "I'll do 10 push-ups a day." Instead of, "I'll write 2,000 words," start with, "I'll write 1 paragraph. Why? Because success builds momentum, and momentum builds identity. Step 5. Automate it. Anything you repeat enough becomes habit. Automate your discipline. Schedule tasks on the same days and times. Prepare your environment in advance. Use reminders until the habit becomes second nature. You are no longer forcing discipline. You're building a system that runs whether you're motivated or not. That's the difference between people who burn out and people who succeed long term. Right now, pause this video and write down one habit you want to build and one friction point you can remove today. Then subscribe and hit the bell, because in the next parts, we're going deeper: how to overcome inevitable failures and how to build unbreakable self-identity through discipline. Here's the truth most self-help gurus don't tell you. You will fail. You'll miss days. You'll break streaks. You'll fall into old habits. Most people see this as proof they're not disciplined enough. Machiavelli, however, would see it differently. He would see failure not as weakness, but as data, as an opportunity to adapt and become stronger. The cycle of self-blame. When most people fail, their reaction is emotional. "I can't believe I skipped again. I'm useless. I'll never change." This emotional spiral kills momentum because it ties discipline to self-worth. But discipline is not a moral judgment. It's a skill, like learning an instrument or a language, and skills develop through repetition and recovery, not perfection. Machiavelli's view of failure. Machiavelli lived in a world of chaos, betrayal, and war. Failure wasn't hypothetical, it was inevitable. But instead of collapsing, great leaders learned from every defeat and came back stronger. Machiavelli believed in adaptive discipline, creating systems that don't collapse when things go wrong. For you, this means building recovery plans instead of relying on never missing a day. The 3-step recovery framework. 1. Acknowledge without emotion. Say what happened factually, without judgment. "I skipped yesterday's workout." That's it. No self-criticism. 2. Find the cause. Was it time, energy, environment, emotional state? This isn't about excuses. It's about identifying patterns. 3. Adjust the system. Change something small. Move the workout to mornings. Prep your clothes earlier, or shorten the session so it's harder to skip. When you treat discipline like a scientist rather than a judge, every failure becomes feedback instead of proof of weakness. Identity first, results second. The ultimate goal isn't just to perform tasks, it's to become the kind of person who naturally does them. Missing one day doesn't change your identity. It's the stories you tell yourself afterward that define you. Say this instead: "I'm a disciplined person who missed one day, and I'm back on track now." That's how elite athletes, CEOs, and creators sustain momentum for years, by seeing themselves as disciplined even when they stumble. Your new philosophy: expect setbacks, plan for recovery, protect your identity. When you do this, discipline stops being fragile. It becomes anti-fragile. It gets stronger the more you test it. That's Machiavelli's timeless secret. Resilient systems always outperform raw strength. Discipline isn't magic. It isn't about waking up one day and suddenly becoming a different person. It's about building systems, designing leverage, and choosing identity over motivation. Exactly what Machiavelli understood centuries ago. He watched entire kingdoms collapse because leaders relied on hope instead of structure, and he saw others thrive, not because they were morally superior or more inspired, but because they designed their environment to make success inevitable. That's the difference between people who struggle their entire lives and people who quietly dominate in whatever they do. One group waits for motivation, the other builds discipline as a default setting. Your turning point. Right now, you're at a decision point. You can either keep chasing motivation, waiting for the perfect day, the perfect mood, the perfect plan, or you can step into a different mindset, one where you design your habits instead of relying on willpower, one where setbacks don't destroy your confidence but fuel your growth, one where identity leads and results follow. The secret is simple. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And when your systems are solid, discipline stops being something you do. It becomes who you are. From 25 minutes to lifelong mastery, Machiavelli's timeless secret can be put into practice in just 25 minutes. 5 minutes to define your why. 5 minutes to remove friction and add triggers. 5 minutes to set up a reward and accountability check. 5 minutes to design a minimum action you can always do. 5 minutes to commit your first step to writing and take immediate action. That's it. In less time than one episode of a TV show, you can rewire how discipline works in your life. Why this matters? Because every day you delay, you strengthen the identity of someone who quits. But every day you take action, even small action, you strengthen the identity of someone who follows through. That's not motivation. That's psychology. That's leverage. That's power. And in the end, Machiavelli's lesson is clear. Whoever wishes to foresee the future must consult the past. History shows us that systems, not wishes, shape our destiny. Your life is no different. If this opened your eyes, don't let it end as just another video you watched. Take 25 minutes today and build one system that makes discipline automatic.